Hey, here with TheEZGZ. We're kind of on the Tranny project. So we're gonna have a little Tranny class here. This particular transmission was donated to the TheEZGZ Tranny project, and I wanted to show you what I found. This transmission was a swing axle, and right off the bat, when you look at these older transmissions, if you're going through a pile and you want to know maybe what sort of pinion bearing retainers in it, if you see two oil drains in it, then it is most likely going to have the bolt style, the 4-bolt pinion bearing retainer with the flange, and I showed you some of that in the last video. I won't go over that again. Now, I pulled out the differential. This thing was, the axles were missing. It's been sitting in my garage and was sitting in somebody else's garage for a very long time. What kind of clues? Right off the bat, you drain the oil and you find pieces of metal that big, you know that you've got some issues. And here's some holes right down here. You see those holes coming through? That's why you have the extra oil drain, because the webbing isn't on the bottom. So to get all the oil out, you would have to drain it in two different places. It wouldn't be practical to be tilting the car around and stuff, so they give you two places to drain the oil and one place to fill it. But that tooth must have come over and landed in here. Now, it got tangled up with the ring and pinion, and you can see how chewed up, and it could have been, you know, let's just say it was a sandrail. I got a feeling that's what this was in anyhow. Not necessarily a street car. But you break down out on the sand dune someplace and you got to get the car back to camp. Now generally, as a rule, on these swing axle transmissions that are so popular on the sand, you can rock them back and forth and the wheels will still turn and you can get it back to camp. But this may have happened before, but I suspect it happened after it was broke while it was on the tow strap. Okay, here is the ring gear, and remember we were looking at that IRS Super Diff? I expected to see a Super Diff in this for a sand tranny. You can look down there and you can see it's got 4 spider gears, and it's got a little block in the middle. And what they've done, if this is done correctly, is all of these will make contact at the same time. See, I've got a side gear. Man, how can I do this? I got my hand pushing on it from the back. You got a side gear on the swing axles. That's why they're so popular for racing and stuff. Here it is. This is what's in there. And then your axle, the spade part of the axle goes in there. And your 4 spider gears make contact in there, and there shouldn't be any slop. You have to just do it one side at a time. This is crazy. Maybe I can set this on top of it. I should have this set up different. Okay, we'll go like that. Yeah, okay, good. Look at, see that? This one's tight, this one's tight, and then these are the additions. And to me, that's not actually slop. This is the Gene Berg style appearing. I'm not sure if it's Gene Berg's product, but I like them where you can't. See, I don't like that play that's in there. Seems to me when I had one, it was tight. Shouldn't have that much slop in there. Might as well not even have them in there. If you've got play, they're not making contact. They're just floating around in there. That's, to me, might as well not even have it in there. I tried it a couple of times, that poor man's posi setup. It just didn't work for me on the sand. End of story. Okay, now, what was the problem with this tranny? Looks to me like second gear. This was probably behind a bigger engine, and it was a stock tranny. It had a stock first gear shift fork, and they probably broke the teeth here on second gear, and they started flying around in there, and the carnage just continued. So I did have to press the pinion bearing out of the case, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to take it apart further, see if there's any parts I can salvage. Of course, it's always good to have the shim, and this had the big flat shim in it. So there's a lot of information to be gleaned from a damaged transmission. If you're planning on learning how to rebuild transmissions, don't ever throw them away. There's tons of little things that are still good. Shift forks, the detents, the springs, maybe a slider hub. Don't be hasty about throwing things away. This has got a very nice looking reverse gear here, and the idler for reverse looked good. So here it is. All these nuts and bolts. I tell you, I'm really cautious now more than ever. Now this one had the nylock nuts throughout the outside of the case, so I don't know. Typically a lot of guys for sand will buy a case. Not too many people, unless you're rebuilding a transmission, most people just reuse the old nuts and things and just assemble it. But someone took this apart, checked it out, maybe adjusted it. It looks stock to me, 412, and they may have put new bearings on here. And I saw something else chewed up in there, but at any rate, that's the real world. Here's the side covers that came off of that one. And now, what do you do with this case? You could still take this clutch shaft out of here, and you could weld it yourself, save it for a race situation. You might want to keep the spring, the bushings, the arm. You might want to keep a few of the studs. They're really hard to get out, but it's good. I like to have stuff like that around. You could make a starter housing out of this. You just take a sawzall, you cut this thing off. You might want to cut the sides open on both sides of this and use it for a shift fork jig. The plugs are good, the shims are good. There's a lot of pieces to be stripped off of something like this, and there's a ton out of every single transmission that you take apart. It's forensics. You look at what happened and you piece together what happened out there, how this thing ran, and there you go. So I encourage you to do so. We've got a little oh, that knee of mine is just killing me. Look at that sky. Yesterday it got into the 90s. Today's pretty cool. Looks like it's going to rain here later on, and that's what's been happening. These rains been coming in from every direction. Usually they come in from the west. Those storm clouds will start up there, and then it'll rain in the afternoon. But here's an old transmission that I cut up. I didn't want the bulk of that whole entire bell housing and transmission, so I just cut the side off of it. Keep that bottom bolt so you have something solid. This is good and solid, but when you do start it up, realize that this flywheel is going to be spinning, and you know, anything around there, it's just going to be like a big saw, big buzz saw. So safety wise, that probably wasn't the best thing for me to do. I could have cut more, left more on. That's whatever you want to do. It really doesn't matter. It's your call. It's your game. But you got to get in the game, and don't be afraid. You just, you know, it's actually, if somebody has a engine with a rod knock, hey, it's broke. Well, that's the one to learn on. Even if you have to pay for it, hey, I'll give you 20 bucks for that knocking engine of yours. You know, well, I don't care if it's a single port, dual port, single relief, dual relief. Get some experience. Get in there. Get these old transmissions. We went on that vintage dune buggy hunt, and Scott had a bunch of stuff laying out there in the field. I wouldn't store it or call them spares. I don't know why he was doing that, but I'd have put them under that roof at least. If you cover them with a tarp, they're going to get the dew, you know, they're going to rust up. But what the heck? Get into this stuff. That's how you're going to learn. And I'm just looking for parts and pieces. Maybe I'll be able to make a bigger mess than I've already got here. Maybe this bearing's okay. Maybe this bearing's okay, and it'll fit in this transmission, which I know is growling. I'm just holding off going in there. And I got to refresh my transmission skills. That's why I'm doing all this stuff. Finally getting around to it. And I need the space. I don't need a transmission graveyard. All I need is a spare of each style for the vehicles I have, and all my vehicles to be running with good engines, and maybe one spare, and the rest, they're gone. I don't have the space, and I ain't gonna live long enough. You know what I'm saying here? So, yeah. How do I get off on these tangents? This is crazy. Did I tell you my granddaughter was born? And I gotta get my ass out of here. I gotta get this shit done and get on the road. And you know what? I can take the Lightning because it's already beat up. Now I don't have to worry about it. Woohoo! Cruise, air, yeah, baby. Yeah, and fill the bed of it with money so that I can buy the gas for it. Hey, thanks for stopping by the TheEZGZ garage. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. TheEZGZ out.